YouTube. Welcome to another episode of The Mark Show. This time I'm going to give a quick walk around of my 2006 KTM 250 SX. Although it's an SX, which is KTM's motocross bike, it's really more like an XC, which is their woods bike, because I've converted the bike over to woods riding. Now, the reason I didn't originally buy an XC is I bought this when I was first getting into trail riding. I had had a DRZ 400 before it, and I just couldn't justify spending $5,000 to $10,000 on a woods bike, which is kind of the typical price here in Oregon, where motocross bikes tend to go for a lot less. So I was able to get this for just a little bit over $1,400, which was a whole lot better for my budget at the time, since I was just starting out. And in the background you can see my 2014 300 XC. Actually, I would not have bought the 300 if one of my riding buddies had a friend who kind of needed to get out from under it, and I decided to go ahead and get it. The price was right. But the difference between my 250 and my 300 isn't really great enough to justify the extra, $4,000 in value. So anyhow, here's what it took to turn my motocross bike into a good trail bike. So the 250, being a motocross bike, it's nice and light, so that's really good. It's got a very stiff suspension, which is a bit of a problem, which I haven't completely resolved. The motor is very jumpy, so when you get on the gas, the front end just wants to come off the ground. So I installed a G2 throttle tamer, and that made a big difference in how the bike felt. I think that made actually the biggest difference of anything that I did. I also installed a flywheel weight, a stealth flywheel weight. That helped, but not as much as the throttle tamer. I also installed the Scott steering damper. I think the Scott steering damper was one of the best mods for this bike, probably next to the throttle tamer. It really kind of calmed the front end down, and part of that may be just because the suspension's so stiff. I also had, when I first got it, I installed a Recluse. I really enjoyed the Recluse probably for the first year that I rode the bike, and then I took the Recluse out because I found I just missed clutching the bike. But once I got the 300, I installed the Recluse back into the 250, and it's actually a lot of fun. I mean, I really enjoy the Recluse now that I have, in my backup loaner bike. I don't think I would want the Recluse in my 300, but it really is a lot of fun in the 250. So I've had the suspension worked on. I have not had it revalved, but I have had it worked on, and I've got it set to the softest setting, and it still jars your teeth out when you're riding it. Huge difference on how stiff my 250 is compared to the 300. I probably need to have it revalved, but it's just I don't know if I want to spend that much money on it, especially now that it's not my main bike. So what do I love about it? I love how peppy the motor is. Believe it or not, it is really hard to keep that front end down. You can be going up just a slight uphill, and the front end will just start hopping off the ground. I've loaned it to a number of friends who will ride it for about a minute and hop off and just say, here, let's trade back, because they just don't enjoy riding it. But once you get used to it, it's a lot of fun. I mean, it really does put a smile on your face. The negative of the bike, though, is definitely the suspension. The forks, the front forks, are just way too stiff, and once you build up speed, then it's not too bad. It actually handles really well once you're going just a little bit faster than you might want to go. But if you're just going along at kind of the normal pace that Mike and I go at it, just kind of beat you up more than it should. So, but for what I paid for it and what I've got into it, it's an amazing bike. I would highly recommend somebody who might be interested in looking at getting a motocross bike and converting it to a trail bike. I think you can get in. I think you can end up with a very nice trail bike for quite a bit less than what you would pay for a trail bike that's already set up. Some folks might disagree with me on that, but honestly, the difference between my 250 and my 300 is very minimal, but the price as far as what I've paid is thousands of dollars more for the 300. So there you have it. Very happy with the 250. Like I said, at this point, it's kind of my backup slash loaner bike, but it still puts a huge smile on my face every time I take it out. So anyhow, as always, thanks for watching.